In the summer of 1947, something crashed in the desert outside Roswell, New Mexico. At first, the local military base announced they had recovered a flying saucer. The world held its breath. But just 24 hours later, the story changed. It wasn't a flying disc, they said, but a simple weather balloon. This single event would ignite a firestorm of speculation that has burned for over 70 years. What really happened in that desert? Was it a weather balloon, a top-secret government project, or something not of this world? Today, we're peeling back the layers of deception to uncover the shocking truth about the Roswell incident. We'll examine declassified documents, hear from eyewitnesses whose stories were suppressed for decades, and explore the science behind what could have fallen from the sky that fateful night. Forget everything you think you know, because the truth is far stranger and more complex than you could ever imagine. Let's travel back to that July. A rancher named Mac Brazel stumbles upon a debris field unlike anything he's ever seen. It's scattered across his property, strange, lightweight metal beams that couldn't be bent or dented, foil-like material that would spring back to its original shape when crumpled, and small I-beams with bizarre purplish-pink symbols on them. He gathered some of the material and, a few days later, showed it to the sheriff of Roswell, George Wilcox. The sheriff, baffled by the strange materials, contacted Roswell Army Airfield. This is where Major Jesse Marcel, the base intelligence officer, enters the story. He was ordered to go out to the ranch and investigate. What he found would change his life forever. Marcel later described the material as nothing made on this earth. He was so convinced of its otherworldly origin that he even took some pieces home to show his wife and young son before delivering the wreckage to his superiors. The initial press release from the base, issued by Public Relations Officer Walter Hott, was sensational. The many rumors regarding the flying disc became a reality yesterday when the intelligence office of the 509th Bomb Group of the 8th Air Force, Roswell Army Airfield, was fortunate enough to gain possession of a disc through the cooperation of one of the local ranchers and the sheriff's office. The Roswell Daily Record ran the headline, "RAAF captures flying saucer on ranch in Roswell region." For a brief moment, it seemed like humanity was on the verge of its greatest discovery. But then, the clampdown began. The very next day, a second press conference was held. General Royer Rami Marcel Superior displayed debris that was clearly from a standard weather balloon. He had measured Marcel pose for photos with the balloon wreckage, effectively forcing him to recant his initial assessment. The official story was sealed. It was just a weather balloon. The world moved on, and the Roswell incident faded into obscurity, dismissed as a case of mistaken identity. But the story didn't die. It just went underground. For over 30 years, the key witnesses remained silent, many of them intimidated or sworn to secrecy. It wasn't until the late 1970s when UFO researchers like Stanton Friedman began digging into the case that the truth started to surface. They tracked down the original witnesses, including a now retired Jesse Marcel. In a series of interviews, Marcel, free from his military obligations, broke his silence. He stated unequivocally that the material he was forced to pose with in the photographs was not the material he recovered from the debris field. He described it as a cover-up, a deliberate switch to hide the true nature of the discovery. He said the real debris was otherworldly. His son, Jesse Marcel Jr., who saw the material as a boy, corroborated his father's account, describing the strange metallic I-beams with hieroglyphic symbols, and Marcel wasn't alone. More and more witnesses began to come forward, their stories weaving a consistent and chilling narrative. Walter Haut, the man who wrote the original flying disc press release, signed a deathbed affidavit in 2002 to be opened after his death. In it, he confessed that the weather balloon story was a cover-up and that he had personally seen not only the strange craft but also the bodies of its non-human. He claimed a high-level meeting took place where the cover story was concocted to quell public panic. Then there was Glenn Dennis, a young mortician in Roswell in 1947. He claimed he received several strange calls from the base morgue, inquiring about small, hermetically sealed caskets and procedures for preserving bodies that had been exposed to the elements. He later said a nurse he knew at the base hospital told him in a terrified, secret meeting that she had witnessed an autopsy on small, non-human bodies with large heads and big eyes. She drew him sketches of the beings before she was suddenly transferred and was never heard from again. These are just a few of the dozens of first-hand and second-hand accounts from military personnel, government officials, and local citizens who were there. They speak of a second crash site, a heavily guarded cordon around the area, and the swift and silent removal of all evidence by a special team from Washington. So, if it wasn't a weather balloon, what was it? The government story has changed over time. In the 1990s, facing renewed public pressure, the Air Force released two reports. The first, in 1994, admitted the weather balloon was actually part of a top-secret program called Project Mogul. This project used high-altitude balloons equipped with sensitive acoustic sensors to detect Soviet nuclear bomb tests. The balloons were made of materials that would have seemed strange to a civilian, including radar reflectors made of foil and balsa wood. This, they claimed, was the exotic debris Mac Brazel found. This explanation accounted for some aspects of the debris, but not all. It didn't explain the unbendable metal, the hieroglyphic symbols, or the sheer size of the debris field described by and more importantly, it completely ignored the dozens of witness accounts mentioning the recovery of bodies. In response to this, the Air Force released a second report in 1997, titled the Roswell Report, Case Closed. This report attempted to explain the bodies. Their explanation? The alien bodies were actually anthropomorphic test dummies, like crash test dummies that were used in high-altitude parachute drop experiments. There's just one problem with that theory. The program that used these dummies, Operation High Dive, didn't begin until 1953, a full 6 years after the Roswell crash. The Air Force's own explanation falls apart under basic scrutiny. It seems that with each attempt to close the case, the government only created more questions and deepened the suspicion of a cover-up. So we are left with a tantalizing puzzle. On one hand, we have the official government explanations: a weather balloon, then a seeker spy balloon, then crash test dummies from the future. On the other hand, we have a mountain of compelling, consistent testimony from credible witnesses, many of whom were military officers, who swear they saw something extraordinary. They describe advanced technology, a concerted effort to suppress the truth, and the recovery of non-human biological entities. Could Project Mogul have been a convenient story, a layer of secrecy used to hide an even deeper secret? It's possible. Top-secret projects are often compartmentalized, with different teams unaware of the full picture. It's plausible that a genuine unknown object crashed, and the military used the pre-existing secrecy of Project Mogul as the perfect cover story. The enduring legacy of Roswell isn't just about little green men. It's about our relationship with authority and the line between national security and public deception. The events of July 1947 marked a turning point, ushering in an era of official denial and public skepticism that continues to this day. Why would the government go to such extraordinary lengths to cover up a weather balloon? Why intimidate witnesses into silence for decades? And why release official reports that contain clear and verifiable factual errors? The simplest explanation, the one that fits all the facts and witness testimonies, is often the most difficult to accept: that we are not alone. And in 1947, the United States government came into possession of undeniable proof. The Roswell incident remains the quintessential UFO case, a modern myth that refuses to die because, at its core, there lies a kernel of truth that has yet to be fully revealed. The debris has been swept away, and the witnesses are nearly all gone. But the questions linger in the desert air. What do you believe happened at Roswell? Was it a weather balloon? A secret military project? Or did we have our first confirmed contact with an extraterrestrial intelligence? The debate rages on, and the truth, it seems, is still out there. Let us know your theory in the comments below. What piece of evidence do you find most compelling? If you found this deep dive fascinating, please give this video a thumbs up. Share it with a friend who loves a good mystery. And make sure you resubscribed with notifications on so you do not miss our next investigation into the world's greatest secrets. Thanks for watching.
If you love uncovering the truth, don't forget to subscribe. More hidden history is coming every week, only on History Uncovered.